welcome back. Today we're designing a super duper cool complete NFT website, which is completely awesome, especially that we have 2025 coming, and this is when it's going to be a complete delight. It has a lot of really cool elements that I want to talk about, including gradients, including primarily relying on dark mode to accomplish amazing looking UIs, and it's going to have a lot of elements that I'm really excited to show you. So let's just get started. Alright, so the very first thing we need to take care of over here is this is our demo site, and it has a lot of really cool features that again we're going to talk about. But how cool is this hero section? This is one of the best hero sections we've ever designed on this channel by far. The fonts today are also incredible because we've never truly used them before, especially our first title font, and this is going to be a complete delight with all of its bells and whistles, everything attached. Let's just get started. Alright, so the very first thing we need to do, especially if we're just getting started with something like this, is having Figma installed. So if you don't have Figma installed, go to figma.com/downloads, get yourself your Figma, and then we're going to get started with our UI. So you're just going to click on plus and create a new design file. This is going to create a simple new design file for you, and then we're going to create a simple frame which can have this happening inside of it. Let's get started. You're going to click on this frame, and then you're going to go to the desktop option and search for MacBook Air, and then this imports for us a normal looking frame. This frame needs to be MacBook Air because the skin of the UI in which we're seeing this is MacBook Air, so you need to have this exact screen resolution to fit inside of this laptop skin. Alright, now the very first thing we need to take care of is the gradient in the background, because this is something that you wouldn't usually find on other sites elsewhere, and we need to be really specific about the colors we're using. So we're just going to make sure this is a little bit bigger than our default width and height, and then we're going to create another frame inside of this. This frame will hold everything that the hero section needs to. So this is our hero frame, and we're going to add a fill. Make sure it is set to linear gradient, and also we're going to change the direction of the gradient itself. Now we're changing the direction because this diagonal is the direction in which we are getting our gradient, and it should give us fine results. Let's just get started. Alright, so the very first thing we need to make sure of is the colors that we're using over here. We have two different really nice shades. One is a really dark navy blue and one is a maroon, and the way they blend in is the perfect combination of everything you need. Alright, so the very first thing we need to do is let's get the colors from our color palette, get them on this page, and get started. So the very first color I'm using here is a deep shade of navy blue. This is 00053E, and the other color that I'm using is a very specific shade of maroon. Now the reason you don't want to mess this up is because these specific colors are the only ones which work well together, so it's going to be hard to find other combinations that look nearly as impressive as this. Alright, now that we have this taken care of, let's get ourselves our very first image, the one of our NFT, this one right here. So the very image that we're displaying on our hero section is the one we need to get right now. We're getting this image from Lumi, which is my favorite place in the world to get stock images, because it isn't as boring as Unsplash or Pexels or some of the platforms that have been around for a while, and hence everything they have right now is quite overused. There is a high chance we've already seen what they're talking about. So we're going to switch to 3D because this NFT is essentially a 3D art, and then you can select any of these you like. I want to select this cat, and I'm just going to click and select on this cat. One of the reasons this works so well, oops, I feel like we did the wrong thing here. We weren't supposed to have the frame selected because this cat needs to come outside of our frame itself. So let's just get Lumi, and then we're going to go to 3D, and once again this cat is actually in one of the trending images right now. So if you're designing this right now as we go, you're going to be able to find this exact cat. Alright, and now we need to make sure that this image doesn't have a background anymore. So we're just going to go right here and click on remove background, which is an AI beta feature in Figma, and this gets rid of your background. One of the reasons this color palette works so well is because this navy blue and this blue are pretty close together, and then this maroon and this maroon are also pretty close together. So you have these shades that are almost identical, and then you have this character which almost gives a feeling of light coming onto these exact shades, and then the direction of the gradient is in the same direction. So you have blue to red going from top to bottom, and that is the reason this works so well. Again, before we resize this character, we need to make sure the width and height is locked. We're going to reduce the width by a whole huge number. Oops, I feel like we did a little too much with that. Let's get rid of some width, zoom in. Again, it's really important you don't set this to 0, because once this goes down to 0, it gets really hard to get the image back up again. And so we're just going to make sure we zoom in, make sure to reduce the width, put this right here in the center, and now we're going to give ourselves this huge oversized background main word group. So we're just going to have to go right here and search and type out NFT, which is the topic of the site that we're designing today. Let's change the font into the main font that we're using today, CF Nuaposa Demo. This is a new font in Figma, and it's actually nicer than you'd think. It needs to be resized by a whole lot because it is a small font, but when it is big enough, you have results that look like this, which is why it's so worth it. Again, the number that we're using here is actually really high. So check this out. We're using 624 pixels of font sizing, which is enormous, but it just fits so well with our character that it's completely worth it. Alright, so now we have this here with us as well, and we also need a copy of this text. So we're just going to paste another version of this text, and we're going to type out rare, and then we're going to reduce the size to 36 because that should be big enough. You know what, let's make it a little bit larger. Let's go up to 64 and make sure the spacing between each of the alphabets is also a little bit bigger. Again, you can play around with the sizes here a little bit and see what works best for you. I feel like this is a good place to stop, and then the next thing we're going to take care of is having another similar section over here which says discover, collect, sell, except this time the font is outfit. So now we're changing the font into something much simpler. I feel like we haven't ever used this font on this channel, and why? Because CF Nuaposa Demo is something I've been playing around with for a really long time now, and it never came up. Discover, collect, and sell. And now we're going to get this text, change it to outfit, and also make sure the spacing between each of the characters is set to 0 because we don't need it, and reduce the font size, obviously. Again, this might take some time. My primary way of checking if the font size is correct is I make sure the top part of the alphabet that we have over here is almost the same width as this text group, and that works out pretty well 90% of the time, so I wouldn't be bothered about many other things too much. Alright, the next part we're designing is obviously our title bar, so our navigation bar. So we're just going to have to create a separate frame for navigation now. We're going to go to this section, create a frame, and again we're just going to add this frame right here. Let's take this frame, this is our navigation frame, we're going to place it above all of this, and now we're going to give this, and then now we just want to make sure all of this text which needs to be in our hero section is inside the hero section, just so we get things nice and organized. Now we're going to go to our MacBook Pro and add an auto layout. Now we finally have properly aligned things, and we're going to make sure this option is not set to on, because this makes sure your frame is ignoring auto layout, but you want it to follow auto layout, which is going to make sure that this is actually visible. Again, let's make this a little bit bigger. feel like we need to make this just big enough to accommodate our navigation bar. In fact, auto layout might be overkill in here. We don't even need it. No idea why I added it. Let's give this a little bit more space, because if you don't keep the amount of space you need, it's going to get really difficult to get this frame working right. Let's increase the width in here. Let's get the cat image shifted down by a couple of pixels. You know what, let's just place this outside of the frame just so we have the oversized escaping effect that we're going for. Alright, I feel like we need to change the position of our texts as well, which is fine. Let's just lock this image, otherwise the only thing we're going to be able to select is this image, which is horrible. And we're going to bring our fonts down as well. Alright, now we need to make sure we have a navigation bar. The first thing we need to add in the navigation bar is the logo section. Let's go right here, go to our resources and search for Iconify, which is the best place to get icons right now. We're just going to search for Iconify and get ourselves some spark icons. You can get spark icons, you can get star icons, it's completely up to you. And we're back. Alright, so we're searching for a spark icon just so that this can belong in the logo now. And let's get ourselves an icon. I feel like this should do good. Let's just bring this out here and make sure we reduce the width and height by a whole lot. Oops, I feel like we just went into overkill mode. Let's just reduce the width by a little bit. Bring this on the right side, because of course we need to reduce this a little bit more. Change this to white, and also we're going to add the title of the brand that we're currently designing for, which is Mystify. Let's just add a text box and really quickly type out MYSTIFY. We're going to reduce the font size by a whole lot and also change the font to outfit. Sometimes it's really difficult to work with two very different font sizes because your font keeps escaping out the window, but at the end of the day, as long as it turns out well, that's a job well done. This looks good enough for us, at least for now. And we also need to make sure we have all of the navigation links working, so we're going to get those in as well. Let's copy and paste this once again, and now we're going to add a couple of navigation links. Again, we are designing the navigation links two different ways this time. We're going to have a couple of links in the center of the screen, and then we need a couple of links on the right side. So we're just going to have both of those as far as the navigation is concerned. Let's type out all of our text here, home. Copy and paste this one more time. About. And also we're going to change the text to say services. You know what, let's do buy and sell. Let's do sell, because I feel like we're already advocating buying. You know what, let's just change this to buy as well. Let's select all of these. Make sure to lock both the word NFT and this cat because they are big enough for everything to just shake up. Alright, we're going to press shift and select all of these different links now and click on the blue button to make sure everything is perfectly aligned together. It is quite important that they are perfectly aligned with our link at the top, and also that the spacing in between is kept equal and breezy. Let's just put this in the center. Oops, let's just make a group out of them first so that we don't put them on top of each other, and then we're going to duplicate this group. This is now going to hold all of our links. Let's just shift this and change the text to say about Instagram and contact us, because this is the about section now. About Instagram and contact. It might take some time to get everything aligned perfectly, but other than that, there isn't too much you can do to go wrong here per se. Let's get these things aligned and make sure to place them completely on the right side. Again, we need to make sure, one of the things we need to make sure of is the spacing on both the left and right is completely equal, so we're just going to have to test for that in just a bit. Again, you're going to press the Alt key, and this is now giving us 52 pixels on the right side. We need to make sure we have at least a similar number on the left side, which is 41. So we just need to shift it up until a point we reach 41 on this side. This is 41, and that's it. This is our basic structure, at least for this UI. Oops, misspelled Instagram there. This looks fine. Alright, the next thing we need to make sure is we need to have a couple of circles in the background just to highlight the character that we're talking about. Let's make those now. So we're just going to go over here, click on ellipse, click on plus, and this is going to create a new circle for us. We're going to lock the width and height to make sure they scale equally. Make this circle a little bit bigger, bring this over here, send it to the back. Let's just get this cat, get it unlocked, and make sure it aligns perfectly with the F in NFT. And now we're going to get this cat locked here again, and then we're going to get this circle, make it a little bit bigger, change the fill to white, and also reduce this opacity. Check this out, this actually looks surprisingly beautiful. Alright, if you're watching this right now, make sure to subscribe because we're 5 subscribers away from 500. And I know we said there's going to be a special surprise for everyone who is in the first 500 subscribers, so do not miss this opportunity. Just subscribe really quickly. Alright, so we're now going to duplicate this circle once again, and this is the sweep function, which makes sure your circle sweeps around and makes itself into a semicircle. And now we're going to go to the center, click on the dot in the center, and bring this down. This is going to give us this really nice sub-circle cutout arc from our main circle. We're going to make sure this is a little bit more opaque, just so everything looks cute and visible. This actually looks kind of nice, and this is similar enough to what we were designing for in the first place. Alright, we need to have a couple of other things here now. We have to have a description section and an explore more, and then meet the characters. So let's create a description first. I'm just going to copy a bunch of text for the description. If you don't have the text in here, you can just take a moment to pause this video right now and just type this out yourself. I'm just going to go back here and create a simple text box. Let's just type some content out, and now we're going to paste to match style, which means I'm just pasting the text and not the style. This style is exactly what we were using for these links, so if you want to see how we designed this, rewind the video a couple of moments. And now we're going to make sure the width is a little bit smaller, And the font size also needs to reduce by a whole lot. Let's reduce the font size to, let's do 14, because that seems to be small enough. You know what, let's just keep on going down. I feel like 14 is good enough. And also the line height needs to be increased just a little bit, because let's face it, we could increase this for a little while. Alright, so the line height that we're using for this one is 160%, and we're going to make sure this is perfectly aligned right here at the feet. I feel like this is the place to stop at. And we're going to create a title for us as well, which says and we're going to create a call to action for us as well, which says explore more. Good enough. And we're going to make sure this is just above our call to action button, so we're just going to place this right here and change this text to say explore more. And now we're going to make sure this is set to semi bold, because of course we need this to stand out. And we're also going to create a simple circle. Again, this next trick that I'm about to use is one of my absolute favorites. This is about creating two different shapes and then subtracting them, which creates one of the coolest effects in the whole world, you guys. So do not miss it. We're going to place this right here. Go to, you know what, let's just change this to white, just so everything is nice and easy. And go to Iconify. This is now going to search for the next icon, and let's get ourselves the next icon which we need. This looks good enough, and we're going to place this outside of the frame. We're going to get this icon, make sure the width and height is locked, reduce this width, bring this down, reduce this width some more. I feel like we reduced it to a really high degree. Make sure to subscribe, you guys. We're 5 subscribers away from 500, which is awesome. Let's just get started on our design journey. Alright, we're going to make this a little bit smaller up until a point where it fits inside, and when it does, we're going to we're going to select the circle, and we're going to select the vector as well. So we're going to press shift, select them both, go right here and click on subtract section. This is now going to create for us this really nice vector which does not have this part inside of it, which is awesome for us, because now you can see through the gradient, which is awesome news style wise. And now we're going to frame this selection just so we can have something that aligns really well together. Let's make this a little bit bolder, because of course we need to. Extra bold looks fine. And now we're going to design the other section which says meet the characters. So we need to have a bunch of ellipses for that at first. Again, I feel like this isn't as well aligned as we'd want it to be, so we do need to select absolutely everything we can, and then oops, this is aligned properly now. There is a little bit of stuff that still needs to be aligned in the center. It's not currently aligned, which is annoying. Let's just lock this image for a little while, because if we don't, we can't really do anything inside of it. Select a couple of these, bring them right here, and now we're going to adjust all of the other components as well. Let's just select everything at once, because we need to. Alright, this looks good. This looks good enough. And now we're just going to select the both of these, align everything that's left. We could align the cat as well. Let's just get this thing unlocked, place this right here, shift it above, lock it back again, because if we don't lock the cat, it's going to be really hard to select anything else. Alright, and now we're going to get ourselves a couple of circles. Get one circle in, oops, get the second circle in, and obviously the third one. Let's change this to an image. So we're going to get our images back again from Lumi. We're going to go to the 3D section once again and get a couple of other shapes inside. So let's just select a couple of these, and we're going to have really nice images. This takes a while, but the end results are really worth it. Alright, and with that we have our collection of images. Let's just close this up, and now we're going to create an actual title for this section. So this title is going to be very similar to this, and we're going to bring this up here and type it out to say meet the characters. Let's just change this to say MEETTHE and then characters. Done. Alright, and now we need to add an actual description section for this as well. So we need to make sure firstly that this is set to sentence case. We're going to go right here, change this to sentence case, select all the text. Oops, I feel like this is, let's just leave it at where this is. Manav asks, hey Veera, how are you doing? Great, we're designing. What more do you need in life? I'm kidding, you need a lot of things, but we are pretty great. Alright, let's now get ourselves this description. I'm just going to copy this text. If you want to pause the video, make sure to pause the video, and now we're going to create an actual description section. Let's just type something out in here. Let's just type out plain text. You know what, let's just paste here and match the exact style of the sentence above, and we're going to change the font size obviously to 12 because we need to make it a little bit thinner. Change this to say regular and bring the width down. Again, make sure to click on the subscribe button because we are 5 subscribers away from 500. The last time I checked, I haven't checked yet on stream, so we might be closer. And if we reach 500, let me know because I actually can't see what the subscriber numbers are right now. Alright, I feel like this is a really good place to stop, especially because this hero section looks good enough. We do need to take care of one last detail, which is this semi-transparent rare NFT semi-opaque background text thingy in front of us. Alright, let's change this to say, what should we say, rare NFT. Alright, we're going to make sure this is way too big. Let's bring this up to 96. You know what, we can do 128 as well, and then we're going to make sure there is a lot of space between each of the texts. Let's bring this right here, change the frame height. I feel like this is a good frame height to stop at. Go to rare NFT, and again, the primary concern here is you want it to be just as wide as your actual content, so we're just going to place it right here and make sure to reduce the opacity by a whole lot. Manav asks, I shared one of my projects in the Discord group. It was a web design. Can you give a feedback on the same by reviewing it? We have a review video coming on the subscribers, UI designs and everything you guys submit to us on the Discord group, so keep on watching for that. We do have a lot of really cool things planned, especially after the 500 subscriber mark, which happens today. Alright, this looks good enough. And with that, we have the hero section complete. Check this out. This actually looks super duper awesome. You could push this to production and it would do pretty well for itself. This actually looks quite amazing. Alright, the next thing we need to take care of is the next section, which is everything from here. I would like to add is a very smooth sailing ride. So everything we've ever done in the first section, it was 1,000 times more difficult than any of the other sections that we're going to make. So this is all easy stuff now. We're just going to make sure our frame is big enough to accommodate all of the different shenanigans we have planned. Create a different frame once again and add a fill to it as well. Again, I feel like we need to have the exact colors that we are using in here, and you don't actually need to copy my exact color palette. As long as you select a color from inside of our gradient, any of these should work. So we're just going to get this color inside, make sure to send it to the back, and now we're going to start adding an image. So we're just going to create a circle in here, make sure to increase the width and height. So we need to lock the width and height first, just so everything can be scaled with each other. So we're just going to put this in here, go back to Lumi to get ourselves an image. And if you guys have any questions related to UI UX design, do let me know. Make sure to subscribe because we are super duper close to hitting 500. And let's go. Let's get ourselves an image, because it doesn't matter which image we get ultimately. Let's just place this right here, and hopefully it'll come around. All right, now that we have an image with us, we need to have our purpose and then this sentence with us. So we just need to add one single title. Let's just add a title and change this to say our PURPOSE. The font that we're using here, we haven't used in like ever on this channel, so we need to change this to CF Pneumaposa Demo. This is an awesome font which is critically overused. Let's just change this to 84, and I feel like we could bring this down a little bit still. Let's change this to 72. Good enough. Alright, and now we're going to add a description section. So I'm just going to copy this text. If you don't have it yet, make sure to pause this video, type this text out. Typing on stream is extremely time taking and would bore everyone to death. Alright, we now are going to copy the text, go back right here and duplicate this once again. Let's go to our purpose, copy and paste this once again, and we're going to paste our text with the exact same style. We need to copy the text, select everything, paste it to match the style that we've been using. Make sure to align everything to the left and change the font to say outfit once again. Let's reduce the size to 12, and now we're going to bring this inside. I feel like we need to increase the size still, because 12 is way too small. Change this to 36. Let's do 32. And of course, reduce the width. I actually got ChatGPT to generate me a couple of these descriptions, and I didn't even check before starting the stream. This reads to empower individuals through the ancient arts of witchcraft and community. I swear to God, you guys, I don't search for witchcraft and community on ChatGPT. I just asked it to give me some random description text, and who would have thought we have witchcraft and community with us? This is awesome. Alright, so the next section, I am not too worried about the witchcraft and community. Hopefully all of the other 500 designers who also engage in similar witchcraft and community will understand. Alright, let's now create a second frame. You know what, this is far too disturbing to just leave as it is. Let's just go right here, search for lorem ipsum by Div Riots, and that is going to make our jobs a whole lot easier. The video and audio went there for a second, but anyways, we're back. We're going to change this to auto generate to fit the space that we're using. Would you check that out? We have crypto ipsum on an NFT website, which is awesome stuff. Just full circle moment. Let's change the font size to say 28, and with that we have the perfect our purpose section. Let's also create for ourselves this next section, which is additional benefits. Let's go right here, create a different frame, and this is going to be completely black. Again, this frame needs to be quite heighted. Add a fill, change this to black. Where did my frame go? Make sure your frame is outside all of the other frames, otherwise it's going to be really, really difficult to get it made. I feel like this is just too bright, especially for this position on the page, so we need to search for something that's a little bit more mellow. This purple should do the trick. Alright, let's change the font to say additional benefits and unlock your potential with resources. So we're just going to go right here, copy and paste both of these text boxes right here, bring them in here, and also change the text to say additional benefits and unlock your potential with our resources. So let's just paste here in match style. I don't think we need to change anything. You can pause this video and type all of these out yourself, but other than that, I don't think too much needs to be changed with the styling. Again, you can reduce the font size in here to 22 if you like, but other than that, I think we're pretty much ready to center line everything and go to our images. So we're just going to center this inside of our frame, bring this down, go in here, align this to the center, reduce the height in the position, and also bring this frame height down. And now we're going to create a single square or rectangle which is going to hold our image. Let's make this big enough to accommodate an image, and then go into one of the corners and add a border radius to a very high number, to the point where it's completely rounded off. And obviously we're going to add an image inside, so let's go back to Lumi and get any image we want. Let's go to the 3D section and get any certain image. Again, it might take a while to get yourself an image that you like, it might not, but Lumi is still going to be one of the greatest platforms at the moment to get your stock images at. Alright, this is going to take a little bit of time, and we're also going to get the title and description sorted out while that is happening. Don't worry if your image doesn't look too good. You can take your own time to figure out what image looks good for you. Let's change the text to say, you know what, let's just go to Lorem Ipsum and get ourselves something. So we'll just get Lorem Ipsum by Div Riots, generate for ourselves 2 words. Crypto Ipsum, good enough. And we're going to make this a little bit bigger. Let's bring this up to 24. Let's go right here, change this to 24. Obviously, make sure to give it auto width so everything is perfectly wide enough. Make sure to place this guy right here. Place the text just underneath our image. Make sure it is bold enough. Let's put this to semi-bold and then give it auto width again. And now we're going to create a description section. Let's just copy and paste this one more time and bring this right over here. We're going to make this big enough to accommodate some description text. Get the Lorem Ipsum plugin once again, and also auto generate content so that it just fits inside. I feel like we could generate a little bit more content. Let's make this bigger and change the font to regular. Reduce this to 20. Let's do 22. Select everything, change this. Let's do 20. 20 looks fine. And then we can change the width back up again. Looks good enough for me, at least for now. And now let's just select all of these once again, group them together, and then we can just simply duplicate these sections, because at the end of the day they are just copies of one another. Make sure to click on the blue icon and add an auto layout just so everything is perfectly centered. Make sure to give it an equal amount of spacing, align everything in the center right here, and obviously change the text and change the images as well. Again, you can go back to Lorem Ipsum and change the text. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to get a couple of images first. Let's go to the 3D section and get ourselves a couple of images. All right, I feel like this is a good image to stop. And I'm going to get one last image. This should be fine. All right, and now we have 3 different images. We're going to close this back up again. Again, if you want to, since these are in an auto layout, you can shift these around. This is one of the coolest features of auto layout, and you can have a little bit of fun with them just to have your everything perfectly adjusted. Check this out, you guys. This actually looks incredible, and it's one of the best things ever. Aman says hi. Hello, Aman. Aman, welcome. The next section we're designing is this one. Again, it is quite cool because it uses this 3x2 grid, which is something we haven't used yet, and also the very common quintessential title, description, button section. I have no idea why these are the random images I got, but seems like I did, so we're just running with it now. Let's make sure the frame is big enough and also add a fill. Again, one of the simplest, easiest things to do after you have for yourself a gradient like this is just to get any color from the gradient from any position wherever you want, because you can't honestly go wrong with any of these colors now. We're at a very safe place as far as the colors are concerned. Let's reduce this, and now we're going to design 6 different images. So we're just going to go right here, create a square. You know what, I feel like this would do much better if it was closer to black. Let's change the colors a little bit. As long as you're in the blue, purple, red range, you can't really go wrong per se, and that's what I'm banking on right now. Let's change this to 158. Add a border radius, just enough for us to see that this is rounded off. All right, and now we're going to copy and paste this a couple of times. All right, and now we have for ourselves this really nice looking grid. We're just going to select all of them at once, group them together, add an auto layout. This is going to give us this really nice looking square grid. We're going to go back to Lumi and get ourselves a couple of images in here. So we're going to go to 3D and get a couple of images inside. It doesn't matter which image you use right now. The important question is, do you have images? And as long as the answer is yes, you're gold. Let's select all of these and get ourselves a couple of images. Again, it takes a little bit of time for Lumi to load these images, but I feel like Lumi is much faster in performance compared to Unsplash. In Unsplash, you couldn't have more than one image generating at once, and Lumi crossed that boundary, which I'm really proud of Lumi for. I don't know if that's a Figma thing or specific to this plugin. I feel like this is specific to this plugin. It is pretty quick compared to the other plugin speeds if you sit down and compare them. And with that, we have this image grid ready with us. Now that we have this image grid, and I feel like, especially if you're designing for an NFT kind of site, it always makes sense to go with the 3D images in Lumi, because it's always a lot more safer as far as believability is concerned. All right, and we're going to get for ourselves the title and description. Press shift, copy and paste them once again, bring them down, put them right here. Don't worry if everything isn't perfectly aligned right now. You can obviously reduce the font size to 24 and make this a little bit smaller. Once again, good enough. And now we're going to create for ourselves the main call to action button. We're going to copy and paste this, change this to say start collecting, and then I'm going to show you the simplest, easiest, best way in the world to design main call to action buttons. I feel like border radius has become such an important part of modern UI design, especially the way we see it now, and it's really easy to ignore it, but as soon as you add border radius to the edgy stuff, life becomes much easier. Let's just frame this selection now, add a layout, add padding, add a padding once again, add a border radius, and we're going to add a fill as well. So this border radius needs to be big enough so that everything is covered. Just increase the number by a whole lot, and when you do that, you're going to have a completely rounded off section. And we also need to add a fill in here. I feel like the fill needs to be as close to red as possible, because in the current background, red is going to be the brightest shade you can have. And the simplest way to do that is to just get your color picker tool and get one of these reds, because it is still inside of our color scheme and it looks quite nice. You can move the shade around a little bit, just until you hit a point where you're happy with the way things look. And now that I'm going to stop. Check this out, you guys. We are less than an hour into, in fact we're 45 minutes into this UI design, and we've already completed so much stuff. Like, this actually looks incredible. One of the greatest UI designs we've ever done. It looks quite nice. Make sure to subscribe, because we are 3 or 4 subscribers away from hitting 500. You do not want to miss the subscriber. You do not want to miss the surprise we have planned for the first 500 subscribers. All right. And now we're going to design 2 different testimonial sections. So we're just going to get a grid and then split screen the whole thing to get for ourselves 2 different description sections. Let's create a frame. Again, make it as big as you need to, especially to accommodate 2 different sections. And also we're going to create the said 2 different sections now. Make sure your frame is outside of any other frames. Add a fill. In fact, only one of these sections need to be separated. The other one can have the fill of the frame itself, and that's going to work out well for you as well. So let's just get one of the colors from right here. Change this to a shade that is actually usable. Let's just get another shade, because that was too damn disturbing. Alright, this should be fine. Looks good enough. And we're going to create a simple, let's do a simple frame once again, because this frame is now going to accommodate one of the 2 testimonial sections. Make sure the width is set to half, and the way you're going to make that happen is the red line needs to be on the right side. So if the red line is appearing, that means you are at exactly half of the height. And we're going to add a fill now of complete white, reduce the opacity, and I feel like this is a good point where these colors work well together. This is a lighter shade of the darker one, and it just looks good enough. And now we're going to create a simple ellipse. Place the ellipse right here. Make sure to make it a little bit bigger. Press shift, resize it along with your cursor, and now we're going to get an image inside once again. Go to Lumi and search for any image. Go to 3D, and let's just get an actual human image. Let's just close this off. And we're also going to get some description text. So we're just going to copy some amount of description text from here. You can pause the video and type this text out if you want. Let's get this text inside, and we're going to paste this to match the previous style, and then we can go ahead and change our own style. Change this to regular. Change the font size to, let's do 36, and align everything in the center, because that is necessary as well. I feel like we can go ahead and reduce the font size a little bit more. 28 should be a good point to stop. And obviously add a name of the person who's reviewing these. So we're just going to copy and paste this one more time. Change the name to say Sophia NFT Collector. We're going to copy this, and the font is now going to be CF Pneumaposa Demo. Let's match the style, and then we're going to change this to say CF Pneumaposa Demo. Make sure to subscribe, you guys. You do not want to miss out on the special subscribers only surprise for the first 500 of you who've subscribed to this channel. We are so close to completing 500 subscribers. You do not want to miss it. All right, I feel like this is good enough. And now we're going to press shift, select all of these at once, group them together, copy and paste them once again, bring them over to the other side, and this looks so much nicer. Again, let's just get this aligned perfectly in the center. Press the Alt key if you need to make sure the spacing in here is completely equal. This is 75 and this is 74. You can move it by half a pixel, or let's just go over here and change this to say 74.5, and now when you press on the alt key you see 74.5 on this side, 74.5 on this side. Bingo, perfect, you are golden. And now we're going to get one more person image in here and also change the text once again. This is good enough for us. Let's change this to, oops, you know what, we had an image, this was good enough. Doesn't even matter what person image you have in here as long as there is an image. And also we're going to get some amount of text in here, copy it, change, oops, let's just change the text to match the style we have. Alright, and now we're going to change the text as well. Copy it and change the name of the collector. Done. Alright, with that, you guys, I feel like we've done almost everything we need to do to create one of the nicest UIs we've ever made on this channel. This is a complete portfolio worthy, awesome website design. I feel like the hero section really makes you stand out from the crowd. All of these other sections are just so wholesome, super duper nice to look at, and obviously you can change your images, change your sections to whatever you need to change them to. Let's reduce this height because we only need to add one last section now, and this is going to be a smooth ride from here on out. Let's change this to a deep shade of blue, or we can do a deep shade of purple, anything that works with these colors at the top. Let's create a frame right here. Obviously add a fill, make sure the frame is outside of any other frames because otherwise it's not going to be visible, which is horrible news. Get this color in and bring out a shade where everything looks nice and easy on the eyes. Alright, so we're just going to get the title and the logo at the top, copy this and bring this down, put it in the footer. Simple stuff. If you're new to this channel, I come here live every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Do not miss any of these live streams because we design super duper awesome portfolio worthy UI design projects. Let's just bring this right over here, change this to say 36 pixels, bring this right in here and also make this a little bit bolder. Let's do semi bold, that should be good enough. Alright, and now we're going to type out the description for this, which is where magic happens. Copy it, paste it, make sure to reduce, oops, I feel like we pasted the wrong thing. Copy the text, paste it back here again, change the text width to regular, say where the magic happens. This is good enough. This actually looks quite nice. You can reduce the font size obviously. Let's change this to 24. Select the text, make sure everything is perfectly spaced, and now we're going to do something really special. We're going to create all of these links, but we need to create a font style just so that we don't have to repeat ourselves in terms of font styling in case we ever need to change things. So let's just type out company and then we're going to start by creating a font style. Again, all of these colors, especially in the background, can be changed as you like, especially from the gradient that we have at the hero section. Let's reduce the font size to, let's do 18 because 16 looks a little too small, 20 looks a little too big. And then we're going to create a typography style, add a text style, change this to say footer link. Let's do FOO, descriptive enough. Alright, and then we're going to duplicate this a bunch of times. So we're going to do 4 rows, 3 rows of, I feel like we're going to do 4 rows of 4 each, and then we're going to get rid of one of these. Let's get these in here, align everything perfectly, increase the spacing between each one of these. Looks good enough. Change the text to say about careers newsroom, about careers and also newsroom. And now let's just select all of these once again, group them together, copy and paste what we have right here, and then copy it, paste it some more. Again, getting these aligned is really simple stuff. Even if you don't have it aligned right now, don't worry, you can obviously create an auto layout at the end and then just get everything aligned perfectly. We need to get rid of one of these because the last one only needs us to have 3 different links: legal, privacy, and terms. And then we're going to type out all of these once again. If you guys have any questions related to UI UX design, make sure to leave them right here in the comments. Make sure to subscribe. We are so close to hitting 500 subscribers. You do not want to miss it. Instagram, X, and also YouTube. Change these links, our offerings, positions, our, you know what, let's do services. Buy, sell, collect. Buy, sell, and also press kit. At some point we might do some sort of UI that talks about press kits, especially for UI designs, and I feel like I designed a press kit a really long time ago, not on this channel but just in general, and we've never gotten a chance to talk about it. They are a little bit rare to see these days and unconventional, but why should we not know about designing press kits? And again, we need to make sure we have an auto layout, just because we have 4 different elements and hopefully everything is perfectly spaced in the center. Make sure to press the Alt key. You're going to get, you know what, this frame isn't completely aligned. This looks good now. Alright, now we're going to make sure this has 97 pixels on one end. Make sure the frame is exactly as big as you need it to be. So this now has, when you press the Alt key, you see these red options happen. 97 on one end, and then on the other end we have 113. Why do we have 113? Let's change this to 97. Again, the last time I checked it said 92, so we need to have 97. There we have 97. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have for ourselves this complete NFT website. Let's just prototype this out, see what it looks like, and share this with you guys as well. I feel like this is the easiest UIs to do, especially if you're looking for something complicated to make for your first portfolio project or your first case study as well. We're going to share this with everyone who's watching right now because this is super duper awesome. Again, this looks incredible, honestly. We have our complete hero section. There is a gradient that goes along with it, oversized text in the background. We also have CF Numa Posa demo, which is a font I never thought I'd use on this channel, but looks incredible. And I feel like the whole balanced approach, something on the left, something on the right, really just gives the perfect edge. You have a semi-opaque text at the back as a watermark, and also all of these sections are just so relaxed, so cute. I love the way this looks. Like, check this out. This looks super duper nice. I feel like CF Numa Posa demo and outfit just work well together internally always, and just give this whole relaxed out approach with everything. This testimonial section is to die for. Looks incredible. Split screen, obviously, and then you have your very modern, very simple footer. Again, this has been one of the most incredible UIs we've ever made, you guys. If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next live stream, which happens exactly at 2 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Do not miss it. Goodbye.